and members of Polish elites during the opening stages of World War II. 27. At the beginning of war in Europe, the SS forces consisted of roughly 250,000 servicemen spread out across multiple branches. 3. With transferable ranks and service records from police regiments and the army. 3. Himmler's military formations at this time comprised several subgroups, including the SS Verfügungstruppe, which would become the basis of the Waffen-SS. 28. Hitler approved further expansion of the armed SS formations. 29. By October 1939, a new SS military division SS-Totenkopf was formed. 29. The Totenkopf was initially formed from concentration camp guards of the Standarten regiments of SS-TV and soldiers from the SS Hinwehr Danzig. Members of other SS militias were also transferred into the division in early 1940. These units had been involved in multiple massacres of Polish civilians, political leaders and prisoners of war. 30. From fall 1939 to spring 1940, a massive recruitment effort in Germany raised no fewer than 12 new TK Standarten, 4 times the size of the SS Verfügungstruppe, in anticipation of the coming attack on France. Both Ike personally and his Totenkopf division performed poorly during Fall. Therefore Himmler resolved to curb his decisions, which had spurred a conflict with Horsa and Dietrich, especially his designation of TK Standarten as reserves for his Totenkopf division alone, and the fact that the SS Verfügungstruppe military supplies were stored at Ike's concentration camps. On the 15th of August, 1940, Himmler dissolved Ike's inspectorate of SS-Totenkopf Standarten, using as justification several well-publicized atrocities committed by the division in France, and transferred the Totenkopf division, the independent TK Standarten, and their reserve and replacement system to the newly formed Waffen-SS High Command. 31. In February 1941, the Totenkopf designation was removed from the names of all units other than the Totenkopf division and the Camp Totenkopf-Wachstumsbahn, and their personnel exchanged the Differ's head collar insignia for the Waffen-SS signal runes. The camp system expanded greatly after the invasion of the Soviet Union in 1941, when large numbers of Soviet soldiers were recaptured. Some were transferred to the camps, where their inhumane treatment became normal. The Totenkopf division still had close ties to the camp service, and its members continued to wear the Differ's head as their unit insignia. They were known for brutal tactics, a result of the original doctrine of no pity which Ike had instilled in his camp personnel as far back as 1934, together with the fact that the original Totenkopf standard had trained themselves. The division's ineffectiveness in France, as well as its war crimes, can in part be explained by its personnel, who were more thugs than soldiers. When first formed, a total of 6,500 men from the SS-TV were transferred into the Totenkopf division. 32. Over the course of the savage fighting in the east, the division was twice effectively destroyed and recreated. Very few of the men who were part of the 1939 Standarten in Poland were still in the division by 1945. After the close of the Battle of France, the SS Verfügungstruppe was officially renamed the Waffen-SS in a speech made by Hitler in July 1940. 33. Himmler also gained approval for the Waffen-SS to form its own I command, the Kommando der Waffen-SS within the SS Führungshauptamt, which was created in August 1940. It received command of the SS Verfügungstruppe, the Leibstandard and the SS Verfügungsdivision, renamed Reich, and the armed SS-TV regiments, the Totenkopf division together with the independent Totenkopf Standarten. The Waffen-SS was greatly expanded and allowed to recruit volunteers from conquered territories from the ethnic German and Germanic populations. 34. System of concentration camps. After Ike was reassigned to combat duty, His Chief of Staff SS Gruppenführer Richard Glucksweis appointed the new Concentration Camps Inspectorate, CCI, or IKL, Inspection der Konzentrationslager, chief by Himmler. 2. By 1940, the CCI came under the control of the Verwaltung und Wirtschaftsschutz und Hauptamt, VWHA, Administration and Business Office, which was set up under Oswald Pohl. 35. Then in 1942, the CCI became AMTD, Office D, of the consolidated main office known as the SS Wirtschafts. Verwaltungshauptamt, SS Economic and Administrative Department, WVHA, under Pohl. 35. Glux continued to manage the camp administration until the end of the war. Therefore, the entire concentration camp system was placed under the authority of the WVHA, with the inspector of concentration camps a subordinate to the chief of the WVHA. 36. Majdanek concentration camp, which was run by the SS-Totenkopfuerbande, was also the location of defense contractor Deutsche Ausrüstungswerk, DOR, owned and operated by the Schutzstaffel, SS. By 1941, prior to the final solution, the concentration camps run by SS-TV, both in Germany and across occupied territories, grew into a massive system of institutionalized forced labor for the SS. The concentration camp personnel began to arrive from the frontline SS formations upon medical discharge. Attack dogs were introduced to compensate for the personnel shortage. 37. Special death camps of action Reinhardt had also come into existence. Under the WVHA, the camps were separated into divisions of first label, concentration, and extermination camps, for all linked by record high profit margins propped up by the theft of cash and assets from the Holocaust victims. Gigantic camps at Auschwitz and Majdanek were built with the expectation of Soviet prisoners of war entering the camp labor after 1941. 38. 39. During the war, almost half of the concentration camp officers served with the Waffen-SS combat divisions, including the Leibstandard, Das Reich, Wiking, the Nord Division, and Totenkopf. 40. Some concentration camp officers served as division commanders in the Waffen-SS. 40. By October 1944, the Waffen-SS membership reached 800,000 and up to 910,000 men. 37. Within the camps themselves, there existed a hierarchy of camp titles and positions which were unique only to the camp service. Each camp was commanded by a commandant, sometimes referred to as Lagerkommandant, who was assisted by a camp adjutant and command staff. The prison barracks within the camp were supervised by a Rapportführer who was responsible for daily roll call and the camp daily schedule. The individual prisoner barracks were overseen by junior SS boss called Blockführer, who, in turn, had 1 to 2 squads of SS soldiers responsible for overseeing the prisoners. Within the extermination camps, the Blockführer was in charge of the prisoner Sonderkommando and was also the person who held physically gas victims in the camp's gas chambers. Crematorium at Auschwitz. The Jewish Sonderkommando workers in turn were terrorized by up to around 100 mostly collaborator Trauniki men per camp called Wachmannschaften, security guards or watchmen. 41. Demonstration photo by former prisoners at the crematorium in Dachau concentration camp. The camp perimeter and watchtowers were overseen by a separate formation called the Watch Battalion, Guard Battalion. The Guard Battalion commander was responsible for providing watch bills to man guard towers and oversaw security patrols outside the camp. The battalion was organized on typical military lines with companies, platoons, and squads. The battalion commander was subordinate directly to the camp commander. Concentration camps also had supply and medical personnel attached to the headquarters office under the camp commander, as well as a security office with Gestapo and Kripo personnel attached to the camp. Heydrich had been successful in getting control over the political departments of the camps. 20. These security personnel were under direct command of Sicherheitspolizei, SIPO, commanders until September 1939 and thereafter. The Reich Security Main Office, Reichssicherheit short-termed, RSHA, commanders independent of the camps. 20. 42. In addition to the regular SS personnel assigned to a concentration camp, there also existed a prisoner system of trustees known as Kapos who performed a wide variety of duties from administration to overseeing other groups of prisoners. The Sonderkommandos were special groups of Jewish prisoners who assisted in the extermination camps with the disposal of bodies and other tasks. The duty of actually gassing prisoners was, however, always carried out by the SS. The Holocaust. In 1942 Glux was increasingly involved in the administration of the Endlösung, supplying personnel to assist in action Reinhard, although the death camps of Belzig, Treblinka and Sobibor were administered by SS und Polizei Odilo Globoknik of the General Government. 43. In July 1942, Glux met Himmler to discuss medical experiments on concentration camp inmates. All extermination orders were issued from Gluck's office to SS-TV commands throughout Nazi Germany and occupied Europe. He specifically authorized the purchase of Zyklon B for use at Auschwitz. Already in 1943 the SS-TV units began to receive orders to conceal as much of the evidence of the Holocaust as possible. Himmler was most concerned about covering up Nazi crimes ever since the Polish 22,000 victims of the Soviet Katyn massacre were discovered well preserved underground near Smolensk. 44. The cremations began shortly thereafter and continued until the camp's official closure. 45. Members of Totenkopfuerbande from Treblinka extermination camp. From left Paul Bredow, Williamans, Max Moller and Joseph Hatriata Carpathian Ruthenian Jews arrive at Auschwitz-Birkenau, May 1944. Most were murdered in gas chambers hours after arriving. Camps were meticulously destroyed, sick prisoners were shot and others were marched on death marches away from the advancing Allies. The SS-TV were also instrumental in the execution of hundreds of political prisoners to prevent a liberation. By April 1945 many SS-TV had left their posts. Due to their notoriety, some removed their death head insignia to hide their identities. Camp duties were increasingly turned over to so-called auxiliary SS soldiers and civilians conscripted as camp guards so that the Totenkopf men could escape. However, many were arrested by the Allies and stood trial for war crimes at Nuremberg between 1946 and 1949. Immediately after their seizure by the Russians on May 9-10, 1945 wrote Signor the officers and men in the Totenkopf division were transported to sterile detention camps inside the Soviet Union. Within 6 months of the end of the war, many prominent SSTK officers, including Becker, disappeared, most likely the victims of secret executions. 46. Concentration camp personnel. A freed Buchenwald concentration camp prisoner identifies a member of SS camp guard. From the SS-TV inception, Ike fostered an attitude of inflexible harshness exercised by the masters. This core belief continued to influence SS guards in all concentration camps even after Ike had taken over command of the SS Totenkopf division. Recruits were taught to hate their enemies through tough training regimes and Nazi indoctrination. 47. Within camps, guards subjugated the inmates in an atmosphere of controlled, disciplined cruelty. This environment of formalized brutality influenced some of the SS-TV's most infamous commandants including Rudolf Höss, Franz Z. Race, Carlotto Koch, Max Kogel, and Amon Goff. 48. In the last days of World War II, a special group called the Auxiliary SS, SS Mannschaft, was formed as a last-ditch effort to keep concentration camps running and allow regular SS personnel to escape. Auxiliary SS members were not considered regular SS personnel, but were conscripted members from other branches of the German military, the Nazi Party, and the Volksturm. Such personnel wore a distinctive twin swastika collar patch and served as camp guard and administrative personnel until the surrender of Germany. 47. Profit. The SS, individually and collectively, benefited